So how do I form these aspects? So we're talking about the simple form. The simple one is used just using the verb itself, right? You may or may not use a modal verb, especially when you're talking about the future. Will do, but you just use the verb in the simple form. So if you have a sentence in the present in the affirmative form, you just use I do my homework, I go to the gym, I eat fruit, right? Now the form of the continuous, on the other hand, is slightly different. You will have an auxiliary verb, which is the auxiliary verb be plus the ing form of the main verb. So this is when you use what? I am doing my homework. So you are doing something, right? She is studying English. So she's studying English. That means what? You're using the verb be and you're using the ing. Now this is something that's very interesting to notice. The auxiliary verb is the one that is responsible for telling you about the tense, to tell you about when that happened, position in time. So if I use the verb to be in the past, she was studying. To be is in the past. That means that I'm talking about the past continuous. She will be studying. That means I'm talking about, if the verb to be, the auxiliary verb, is in the future, I'm going to be talking about that as the future continuous. And she is studying, the verb to be is in the present. So that means what? She is studying, that's the present continuous. Now this idea of your auxiliary verb telling you about the tense is present in the perfect and also in the perfect continuous. So in the perfect forms, what do we have here? It's have as the auxiliary verb plus the past participle of your main verb, right? Have plus past participle of the main verb. So I have had lunch. I have had lunch. If I have had lunch, my main verb is had here, right? In this case, have tells me what? If this is in the present, if it's followed by, if following it, I've got a verb in the past participle. What do I have here? I have done my homework. I have had lunch. It's the perfect because of the combination have plus past participle. And if have is in the present, present perfect. If I said I had had lunch, I had had lunch, then I would be talking about the past perfect. And if I said I will have done that, then it's the future perfect. So this combination, that is something that's very interesting to notice, because it's very easy for you to notice when a sentence is in the present, past, or future. Pay attention either to the verb itself in the simple forms or to the auxiliary verbs, right? So if the auxiliary verb is in the present, present plus simple, present continuous, present perfect. If it's in the past, past perfect, past continuous, past perfect continuous. Now, what about the perfect continuous? Well, the perfect continuous is something that's quite interesting, because let me show you something. If you are good at mathematics, it's going to be very easy for you to add have from perfect, and then you have the verb to be, but in the past participle, followed by the main verb in the ing form. Okay, so this is how you form it. It is have plus the past participle of be, so being, plus the ing form of the main verb, right? And have is the verb which will tell you in what tense your construction is. So if someone tells you this, I will have been studying that, that means what? Will have, that's the future. Will have been studying, that is the future perfect continuous. So once you have understood that, you'll have a clear idea of the form. So let's have a look at some examples of sentences which are using all of this combination here. And in order to check that, let's reposition our board, right? So it's easier for us to actually write here. Okay, let's go. We're going to start with the simple forms, and I have here 3 different sentences to illustrate the different uses of the simple form, right? The different tenses you have here. So she did her homework. She does her homework. She will do her homework. So right now we can see the 3 different tenses, and that's the verb form. Simple past, she did her homework. Present simple, she does her homework. And she will do her homework. That's the future. Now let's move on to the continuous. So in terms of the continuous forms, we've got here she was doing her homework, she is doing her homework, she will be doing her homework. If we notice, there is a combination of the verb be plus the ing, right? So she was doing her homework. Remember that was is responsible for the tense, so past continuous. She is doing her homework, present continuous, because the verb to be is in the present. And she will be doing her homework, because it will be this combination, it means it's the future continuous. Now let's move on to the perfect. So as the example sentences of the perfect form, we've got here she had done her homework, she has done her homework, she will have done her homework. And you can notice that have is the one that sets the time as well here. So when we say here she had done her homework, had is in the past. So this is the past perfect. She has done her homework in the present. She will have done her homework in the future. So future perfect, she'll have done her homework. She's done her homework, simple present perfect. She'd done her homework, past perfect. And then finally, we move on to the perfect continuous. But you should have gotten it right now, right? So let's reposition it once again. And let's try to write down these sentences. And it should look like this. So finally, the 3 sentences in the perfect continuous. She had been doing her homework, she has been doing her homework, she will have been doing her homework, right? The main verb in all of these sentences that you can see here is the verb to do. Did, does, do, doing, 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 done, 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 doing, doing, doing. And the auxiliary verb is the one that tells us about the tense. So this here should be your combination of the tense and aspect system in terms of the form of the English verb structures. So again, form, we're talking about how, right? This is the mechanical part. This is how when you look at the sentence, you know which verb form is being used. For the next stage, we have to move on to meaning, and that's when it gets interesting.